top level of how government works, local government works. So I hope that I learned some things, so I hope that I can share them with you while I was putting this presentation together. So the first thing, obviously we're in an election year, I thought it might be interesting to you of what candidates have filed for the 2020 election. And right now we have 30 Republicans who have filed in Tippecanoe County, and we have 7 Democrats. And with that 7 Democrats, only one of them is an actual candidate, that's myself. And we have 6 state delegates that have filed. I went ahead, the presentation materials will be available afterwards, so I put some links in here in case you're interested in how to find, the list of candidates. The county updates that regularly, so you would want to, you can go out and keep clicking that link and find out.
So what is the date?
Date for filing? So the final date is December 7th at noon. It's at noon.
December?
I'm sorry, did I say December? I meant February.
Okay, thank you.
Life is hard. And I'm in December. No, it is February 7th at noon. Noon is the thing that trips us all up because we've had some people go in, 3 o'clock or what have you, and it's a little strange. So it is not business hours. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Democratic Party. Full disclosure, I am a Democrat. I am not going to talk about the Republican Party because I do not know anything about it. So I didn't feel like that would be fair to represent them or talk about their process. However, I have been involved in the Democratic Party since 2015 as a candidate and a delegate. I've been a Democrat longer than that, but I've been involved locally in the party since then. So sometimes I find that people don't really understand how the party is structured, and it's really important to understand this because obviously there are a lot of things that we do as a party, and if you don't know how it works, you can't really affect change inside the party. So the lowest level is obviously, volunteer, and then right above that is a precinct committee person, and that is really the backbone of the party. The precinct committee person is, we'll talk more about that. I'll just say right now, that's probably what I consider the most important piece of how all of that goes together. And then you have your county level. At your county level, you have 3 committee people. You have a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. And then you have your county chair. And then of course at the district level, you have the same thing. At the state level, you have the same thing. And then you have an executive committee. That is made up of all of the districts and the state party. Okay, so I talked about the precinct committee people. So precincts are the smallest political unit in the country. And what that means is it's basically neighborhoods that are split up. I think it's 2,000 people. Don't quote me on that number, but there's a certain number of people in that precinct, and then those precincts are put together to create districts. There's another important piece here, is that each precinct, usually throughout the state, will be, they'll be responsible for one polling place, right? That would be identify your polling place. But in Tippecanoe County, we have vote centers, which is really awesome because that means no matter where you live in the county, you can vote anywhere that there's a voting location. So that makes voting easier, and we're really happy that we have that. I actually saw on Heather Maddox's Facebook page today that it's been 9 years since that happened, that was approved. So that was really cool. It's an anniversary for that. So the precinct committee person, I'll talk a little bit about this. They are basically the connection between the party and the people. So it's important to have these people, to have a precinct committee person in every precinct, because that's the person that goes out and talks to their neighbor. They're responsible for getting to know their neighbors, understanding their needs, being able to track that data. We also would hope that they would, register new people as they come into their neighborhood, make sure that they know where their polling locations are. And of course, we would always want them to participate in all of the local events and activities that we're doing as a party. You can be a precinct committee person. You have to be a voter, qualified voter, so you have to be registered to vote to be a precinct committee person. You need to reside in the precinct in which you are a candidate if you file for a precinct committee person. You can be appointed in a precinct that you do not live in if no one filed to run in that precinct. So if somebody files to run, appointments are out. So there's 3 ways to qualify as a Democrat for a precinct committee person. And that is that you voted in the last primary as a Democrat, or you didn't vote in a primary at all and you're going to certify that you are a Democrat. Or your county chair can say, I understand this person voted in the Republican primary, but I know that they're a Democrat, they did that because X, Y, Z. And then you can file.
Goldsmith.
I didn't know.
Goldsmith.
Goldsmith. Well, I actually don't know if he's a precinct committee person, but it is the same with candidates, correct? So candidate filing is the same. And that's a really good example because that makes sense, right? So you have somebody working in the sheriff's office and we had not had a Democrat run in a primary in a number of years. And so you would obviously, as someone working in that office, want to vote for your boss. So that made a lot of sense. So becoming a precinct committee person, like I talked about, can happen in 2 ways. In 2022, there will be another election. And so the midterm election is when it happens. So you would be able to go up to the county office and you would be able to file to be a precinct committee person. If there are more than one person, then there would obviously be a primary. If there isn't, then like I said, then that just eliminates that precinct as being appointed. If there is not a primary, you will not see those people on the ballot, which is why you're probably like, what? Because I've never seen this. The only time that you would see them on your ballot would be in a primary election and if there are more than one person that files. State delegate. I put this in here just because it's happening this year. As I talked about those people that have filed, if you go click on that link for who's filed for 2020, you'll see a lot of those are state delegates. So I just wanted to touch on that, just to make sure everybody knew what that was. So this also happens in every election cycle. You can just go up to the county courthouse and file to be a state delegate. You'll go to the state convention, the party convention. I forget when it happens. It's around June, maybe. It's in June this year. And so we'll do several things as state delegates. I think one of the most important parts of it is to nominate our Attorney General, Secretary of State, our Treasurer, and our Auditor. So as a party, we don't have a primary for those offices. They're nominated at our convention. And then that is our candidate for the party. And then they also, vote on national delegates. So if you wanted to go to the national convention and do that, then you would have to be a state. You don't have to be a state delegate, but you probably want to be a state delegate and then garner support in that way. And then of course the platform, what we stand for as Democrats is also very important, our resolutions, and then, how the party runs and operates. So any questions before I go on to county about anything related to the Democratic Party that you have at this time?
How many precincts?
104
Depends on the population.
in Tippecanoe County.
Sounds right.
Might be 103. Close, somewhere around 100 in Tippecanoe County. Some of those are not voting. You have to have a certain number of residents inside the precinct to be voting. So for instance, like Tate and Lyle, that property is a precinct, but it's a non-voting precinct because it doesn't have residents. It's just a corporation business.
How are the precincts drawn? You know what I mean?
Sure. So precincts they're as tight as they can be, depending upon the number of people, right? So it's based off how many a certain number of people. I think it's around 2,000 something, and they try to keep that as close to like a neighborhood as they can. So
But those drawings still are subjective, because there's many ways to draw equitably distributed.
Sure.
It's how jigsaw you want
Sure,
the shapes to
of
be.
course.
It's what it comes down to, the Jerry Andrews.
Sure,
I would say that was my
You can
question.
see.
Yeah.
Very clean.
okay. Thank you. Anything else about the party? No, that's great questions, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the county. So county offices are, they do not all get elected in the same year, so I put afterward, when there are elections, so that you would just kind of know when to expect those on your ballot. For instance, the county commissioners, there are 3 of them, so District 1 was in 2018, District 2 and District 3 are gonna be in 2020. The council members, all of the districts were in 2018, so Lisa got elected, Alana Stonebreaker got elected, and then in 2020, we'll have 3 at-large county council members that will be up for election. The clerk of court, the auditor, the recorder, the assessor and sheriff were all in 2018, and we have the treasurer, coroner, and surveyor up in 2020. These little asterisks here I put on the spreadsheet because it's important to note that those offices are term limited. So you can only be in office no more than 8 years in a 12-year period. So consecutively, not more than twice, if that makes sense. Oh, actually, wrong presentation. I'm just gonna leave it here, so I'm gonna talk about each one of these offices now and what they do. Oftentimes, when I was canvassing as trustee, I would knock on people's doors and I would talk to them and they did not know what the county offices did. So I thought it was really important that we start there. The county commissioners are basically kind of like the CEO of the county, so they're the executive and legislative body of the county. They do all the maintenance of county property and facilities. They also execute contracts, authorize payments of claims. They do appointments for the various departments, and they also create and enforce ordinances in the county. So for example, like the windmill ban, they would participate in that. Like I said before, there are 3 commissioners. So you have District 1, you have Tracy Brown right now, who's a Republican. District 2, you have Dave Byers, he's a Republican. And then you have Tom Murtaugh in District 3, and he is a Republican. They are a 4-year term. And the interesting part about commissioner that's a little bit different than any of the other positions is that you have to live in your district, but the whole county votes. And that's a little different, because a lot of times you live in your district, and then it's just your district that votes for you. That's not the case at the county level. I would also, another point maybe of interest is that frequently these positions, the county commissioner position has been unopposed. So the council members, what do? They approve and fix the annual operating budget for the county. They authorize the borrowing of money in the form of bonds and notes. They also do any kind of authorization of expenditure of public funds for any specific purpose. They establish the salaries and other compensation for the county, all of the fiscal affairs, and then fixing the tax rates and the levy, because that goes along with the budget. So they set those tax rates. And they set the priorities for all the allocation of all of the public funds. Right now, we have, there are 4 districts. So District 1 was Alana Stonebreaker, won in 2018. District 2 is Roland Winger, he's a Republican. District 3 is Kathy Vernon, that's a Republican. And District 4 is Lisa Dahlem, she's a Democrat. And then we have 3 at-large, they are all Republicans at this time. That is Brian Metzger, Kevin Underwood, and John Basham. That's your county council at this time. So the clerk of court, they issue marriage licenses, do all of the records, maintain oaths of office. So the clerk swore me into my office. Typically we have 92 counties in the state, only 2 of them have an election board. And Tippecanoe County is one of them. So in a lot of the counties, in 90 of the counties, the clerk oversees the election. In our county, they are a member of the 3-person election board. They keep all records, or records of all judgments, orders, and decrees of the court. Right now. What I do?
Just wait it up. Talk for one time, that's fine.
And right now, the clerk is a Republican, and her name is Julie Roush. The auditor is the chief financial officer of the county. That's how I think about it. They calculate property tax for all real, personal, mobile home, drainage, special assessment records. They also complete all of the annual reports for review by the State Board of Accounts. They control the distribution of tax collections. So, like, I hear from the auditor's office regularly as the Wabash Township trustee because they do all of the deposits into my account for the tax collection. They do special revenue collections for all units of the government within Tippecanoe County, and that includes the city of Lafayette, West Lafayette, school districts, the township. So, for instance, if I had a lien against someone's property for mowing, the county would collect that money and process it and send it over to me. Is this the 10-minute mark?
Here's 35 after.
We might not get through everything.
Yeah, 35.
We'll do the best that we can. They create the financial statements for the county, and they handle receipts and disbursements of county funds. Right now, they also process all the payroll for all county employees. There's a Republican in this seat, and his name is Bob Plattenga. So the recorder maintains and preserves all of the legal documents affecting title to real property in the county. They also record many other types of documents, from deeds and mortgages to business names, military discharges. I thought this was really interesting. In 2018, the recorder's office recorded more than 23,750 documents. And they returned $338,617.50 in recording fees back to the Tippecanoe County General Fund. So that's money that supplements, our county budget that is not property tax. Right now, that is a Republican, and her name is Shannon Withers. The treasurer serves, let's see, I already told you that part. The treasurer does all the bills and collects property taxes. They collect delinquent property taxes, obviously, and taxes and judgment. They do the innkeeper's tax, and they also do all taxes involved with bankruptcy, real estate, sales. They handle the investment of funds. And that's a Republican right now, and her name is Jennifer Weston. The coroner seems like an exciting job. It's the identification of the deceased, determination of the cause of death, and the determination of the manner of death. They are considered an officer of the court, so they have the power to investigate that death. They can subpoena information, they can order an autopsy. They are responsible for all of the personal property of the deceased. That's a Republican at this time, and her name is Donna Hart Abelt. The county surveyor oversees all section corners throughout the county, and so those are like identification markers for where a piece of property starts, a parcel. They review and inspect all new residential, commercial, and industrial developments for compliance with the county stormwater ordinance. They also supervise construction, reconstruction, and the maintenance of county drains and ditches. That is a Republican at this time. His name is Sash Beasley. Thank you. I'm like working on it. So the assessor, that office is obviously assesses the value of real and personal property. The property taxes in Indiana are collected by the treasurer based on the assessments that are provided by the assessor. That is currently a Democrat, and his name is Eric Grossman. The sheriff. Some interesting things about the sheriff. It's not living, is it? They arrest persons who commit crimes in front of them, which I thought was fun. They also pursue and jail felons. They serve and execute all process directed to the sheriff by legal authority, so they would serve all the warrants and everything. They do attend and preserve the order in all of the courts of the county, so when you walk into the Tippecanoe County Court, you probably see sheriff's officers at the door, that's why. And they also operate the county jail and care for the prisoners' health and well-being. Indiana law additionally specifies that the sheriff maintain records, facilitate the sex offender registry, serve state tax warrants. They also conduct sheriff sales on foreclosed property and issue handgun permits. Right now that is a Democrat and his name is Bob Goldsmith.
I'm so sorry to have a lot.
That's okay.
Is there a reason, and I'm new to this, that judges aren't included on your list?
Oh, I think that's next.
Oh.
Yeah, judicial offices, I'm getting there.
I'm really.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No, that's great. One last thing I really found this interesting about the sheriff. This is a sheriff myth. Contrary to contemporary belief, the sheriff is not just a role for outside of municipal limits. The sheriff has jurisdiction throughout the county, including inside any municipal limits. So he is the top elected official in the county for law enforcement.
So don't do a crime in front of all.
Don't commit crimes in front of all. Is the takeaway from that.
But you know.
Just not.
Just not in front of all. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and go, don't commit crimes.
Okay.
As an elected official, I'm gonna put that out there. So the circuit court is the court that established by Indiana's Constitution. Since 1826, the circuit court has been our only court of general jurisdiction. They handle cases such as major criminal cases, domestic relations cases, and major civil cases. They do so along with Superior Court and Superior Court 2. The circuit court has exclusive jurisdiction in all probate matters. That's estates, guardianships, adoptions, trusts, that's who you would see. They also share jurisdiction over juvenile matters. They do so with Superior Court 3. And Superior Court 3 handles most all of those cases, but the Circuit Court can as well. Right now that is a Republican judge, Sean Pearson. Superior Court, I'm going to go through each one of them. There are 7 of them. 7 is a new court this year. So the first, Superior Court 1 is the general civil and criminal jurisdiction, and that's Randy Williams, Republican. And then major, number 2 is major criminal cases. So that would be murders, Class A, B, C, and certain Class D felonies. That is a Democrat, is Judge Steve Meyer. Superior Court 3 is the juvenile delinquency. So they do the CHINs. CHINs is children in need of services. They do termination of parental rights, child support, paternity, guardianships. That is a Republican, and it's Judge Faith Graham. Number 4 is landlord and tenant cases, so small claims cases, misdemeanors, and D felony drug cases. That's a Republican, Judge Laura Zeman. Superior Court 5 is the general jurisdiction, so they would handle like your misdemeanor, Class D felony, criminal cases. And that is a Republican Judge Michael Morrissey. And then, of course, like I said, number 7 is new this year, and it's intended to reduce the caseload for lower level felonies and misdemeanors.
You missed Judge McVeigh.
How? No, I'm sorry. Yep. So court number 5 is the general jurisdiction, so that's misdemeanor and Class D felony criminal cases, and that's a Republican Judge Christine McVeigh.
And then 6 is traffic court, that's Marcy.
Oh, no, I got those mixed up. Okay, I'm sorry. I was distracted. I know, I was distracted. Okay, so, Superior Court 6 is the traffic cases, Lisa's 100% right on that. Traffic infractions, misdemeanors, and Class D felonies, and that is, Republican Judge Michael Morrissey. Also on the ballot are the state delegates, which we talked about, but I just wanted to let you know that that is, so that's the thing that will be happening as well. So I did the same thing, you'll have access to this and you can click on these links. The county districts, there are maps for each one of the districts, so you can see how those are created. I won't spend time on that because I actually skipped most of the city just because I knew I wasn't gonna have time, and I feel like this is the part of local government that people probably understand the most. And so I just wanted to quickly just kind of go over the city elected offices, and that's the mayor, the clerk, the council, and then potentially judges for the city. Some cities don't have them, but most do.
No, most don't.
Or most don't.
West Lafayette.
Yeah, so Lafayette does, but that's weird.
Lafayette does.
Out of the cities in Indiana,
No,
maybe I read that wrong. Out of the cities in Indiana, most of them do not have a city judge.
That's my understanding, but.
Huh, maybe I read that wrong, okay. And then of course there are city districts as well, so the mayor runs throughout the whole city, the clerk runs throughout the whole city, the at-large, and then there are city council districts specifically.
there's court treasurer, it depends on the type of city you are,
That's true,
the classification.
that's true. The clerk and the treasurer could be combined if the city is small enough.
Or keeps that classification. Like
In West
Fishers-
Lafayette,
Fishers hasn't moved to a class 2, I believe,
in
even though they're.
Tippecanoe County, in our cities, we have a clerk and a treasurer. At one point, West Lafayette was so small that that was combined, and that just happened not that long ago, so. So townships. The township has a township trustee, and then there are 3 members of the board. There are 13 townships in Tippecanoe County. They encompass 500 square miles with over 66,000 real estate parcels. For example, Wabash Township, where I'm the trustee, is West Lafayette, and then it goes out to 500 and up to the county line. Kind of looks like a mini Indiana flipped around, but anyway, there are approximately 66,000 residents in Wabash Township as of the last census. I gave you the districts, and then I have time for a few questions. I did it. I have time for one question.
I'm curious, when you talk about a particular office, kind of a particular role, like they have staffs and other officers that work under them, like the sheriff's deputies and whatnot.
Yes.
So like, what is the day-to-day overarching role of those offices? Policy? Execution?
Depending upon which department it is,
Right.
right? So, like in a township, the trustee is kind of like the CEO, so they oversee basically everything in the township. Paying the bills, doing disputes, managing the fire department, we manage the cemeteries, we do township assistance, and those offices are really small. So a staff of probably 0 to 10 people approximately. I have 1 person in my office, and I think Fairfield Township has like 4. And I don't believe that, Weedout Township has a couple of staff, and then the rest of the townships don't have any. So it just kind of varies depending upon the need that trustee sees. And then on a city level, right, the mayor is it's a bigger version of the same thing, and now you have department heads, and the same thing goes for the county. The commissioner would be the CEO of the county, and then all of the departments.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
why is the 4D court part of Superior 4 as opposed to being part of Superior 3, which is the chins and the family court and all of that? Why is child support not attached to the Superior 3? Because to me that makes
That's probably
sense.
not a question that I should answer, because I don't really know the answer to that,
Okay.
how they divided those, and I definitely don't wanna give you inaccurate information.
Okay, fair enough.
What would be the best way to help through that?
Who would you talk to about the?
Who's going to ask that question?
100%, yeah, I think that, probably any judge that you spoke with would understand the caseloads and why they divided things up the way that they did.
I have a question to answer. I work with that court a lot, actually.
Oh, great,
And I
Which,
have a.
3 or 4?
The chin stuff.
Okay.
And those decisions get made together a lot of the time. And so I don't know if that is the total answer, but I've worked with several CHINS cases where DCF stuff or just these kinds of decisions, they have been getting made through the same process. And I don't know if that's the answer, but that might be the beginning of why they got connected.
you're saying the judge would have the information about the case for.
Yeah, so like child support often gets figured out when they figure out where the kid's gonna go.
Yes.
I used to work for CPS, and so that was always really confusing to me. I mean, because some of it is CHINS involved, and we still have to go, I'm sorry. But a lot of it isn't, you know, it's separate, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
Leah is on.
Thank you.
So,
Sorry.
you guys.
Thank you, no